Hello everybody, this is Nato at the Nest, and this is the Cold War with the second half of 1955. And the big event that happens this turn is Vietnam is at war again. North and South Vietnam go to war with each other. And the spark of this was after the peace agreement with France was signed. There was a strong communist faction in the Vietnamese and a non-communist. And so what France, Vietnam, and various other NATO nations decided on was that Vietnam would temporarily be split in North and South Vietnam, and keyword temporarily. Then within the year, general elections would be held, and that would decide one way or another what Vietnam's government would be. Leader of the communist faction, Ho Chi Minh, he was viewed as kind of the savior, liberator of the country, and so he had pretty much hero / god status in Vietnam. And it became pretty clear to South Vietnam, and particularly America, that if a general election would be held, it was pretty much guaranteed that Ho Chi Minh would win the election and Vietnam would go communist. So when the appointed date for the elections came, South Vietnam suspended the elections, and to be fair, America was totally backing that decision completely. So when the South Vietnam refused to hold elections, Ho Chi Minh in the North and Communist North Vietnam decided to rectify that insult via force of arms. So we have Vietnam Part 2. What's going on in the rest of the world? China is continuing construction on its major factory. It's continuing to put out Mi-8 helicopters. These are transport / attack helicopters that kind of have a dual role. Continuing to redeploy its forces from Korea down south in case Vietnam expands via American intervention. America finished its air base on Guam and has since turned it into a major air base, stationing major air wings there, probably in preparation for Vietnam. I think I said it in the last video, America converted its old bombers into right there into cargo planes / mid-air refueling, because mid-air refueling is unlocked now. So as long as, and that's across the board, it's not just America, so as long as you've pre-positioned your refuelers correctly, fighter jets now have unlimited range. They can get anywhere. America's new generation of jet fighters is coming online. You can see the new F-4 Phantoms sitting on the carrier, and the new, oh shit, those are either F-101s or F-104s. Can't remember. I'll have to double check which ones those are, but those are the new tactical bombers. Speaking of tactical bombers, tactical bombers have a new ability called Wild Weasel. What that means in English is Wild Weasel missions are airplanes specifically configured and the pilots specially trained to go out to hunt down and destroy anti-aircraft batteries. It sounds kind of like an oxymoron. You're sending planes to go hunt down things specifically designed to kill planes, but it works. We've been doing Air Force has been doing Wild Weasel missions since Vietnam, and believe me, it works. Russia, there it is. Russia started putting out its own Mi-8 helicopters. You see the Russian MiG-19s sitting there. Oh, America's helicopters. There it is. America started putting out its own helicopters. That's not the correct model. You know, these are supposed to be Hueys. The Bell Hueys. That's actually a modern Blackhawk sculpt. I messed up on the order. I ordered the wrong damn thing, but for now, we'll just pretend that those are Hueys, not Bell Hueys, not Blackhawks. Let's see. Influence. The Sudan is tied at 5 apiece, so the next round will decide who gets influence on Sudan. Russia won on Kufra. They won hands down. That Russia won 6 influence rolls in a row, and so then the next point of contention is Tripoli, and Russia won that first round as well. So influence continues to go badly for NATO, with the exception of Sudan. France continues to build up in Algeria. It's waiting to build up enough strength to maybe go on the attack for once. But for now, it's more or less stalemated. Whatever rebels that France managed to kill, the rebels replaced, and same thing for the rebels. Whatever French units the rebels managed to kill, France is replaced. That's about it. Everyone else is just kind of building when they can, building what they can. I did have one question on the comments, asking about ex-German soldiers in the French Foreign Legion, and if that was implemented in Indochina in any form or fashion, because it really pissed off the Vietnamese that there's more or less ex-Nazis in the French Foreign Legion. And to answer that question, we answered it in the comment section, but we'll answer it verbally in the video as well. The answer to that is kind of a yes and a no. The no part is, this is a strategic level game, and ex-German soldiers in the Foreign Legion is a little too specific for a strategic level. Like if this was like a tactical level game, then yeah. But since this is a strategic level, that's a little too specific of a detail to work adequately, correctly. What we're actually doing is special forces units, like example, the French Foreign Legion or the GIGN, a modern French Special Forces unit, is being abstractly represented by these commando markers that all the NATO nations use. So you see that commando marker is just understood that that's either that's like British SAS or American Delta or Rangers or French GIGN, so etc., etc. And those kinds of units are just abstractly represented by that. And that's it. America's just upgrading its stuff. You see it's got a Phantom sitting there, another Phantom. America's completely upgraded its fighter force. It's about midway through upgrading its tactical bomber force. As you can see, there's still A1 Sky Sharks sitting there. Argentina is still sitting quiet. But that's about it. So we'll come back when the next event happens. Like I said, we're not doing a video for every turn. Cold War is a pretty lengthy game, so instead of having 500 videos, we'll just do a video whenever something substantial happens. So we'll come back with the next major event. See you then. Hello everybody, this is Nato at the Nest with the Cold War, and it's the second half of 1956, and we got two new events happening this turn. The second Israeli-Arab War begins this turn, and Hungary has revolted. So Russia finally gets something to attack, and this is a proxy war. The Arab-Israeli War is a proxy war, so how that ends will give a point either to NATO or Warsaw. NATO won Sudan. It was tied at 5-5, and then last round they rolled and it was a tie, but then this round NATO won the influence roll by 1, so NATO gets Nubia, or modern day Sudan. America is continuing to upgrade its hardware. You see the new planes, the F4s and F104s. America has another new plane out there. America now has a C-130, and that's a transport plane. It can carry 1 infantry or 1 artillery. Now the difference between that and say that America's old bomber that's now a transport or a refueler is that can carry 2 infantry or 1 artillery, but because it's a jet plane, it has to take off and land from an airfield. So while that can carry more, it limits where it can go and land. Whereas the C-130, the propeller-driven plane, it can land anywhere. So it can carry less, but it can take off and land in any territory. So that's the distinction between the two. And America started moving its Pacific Fleet towards Guam to get ready for when its window of opportunity to intervene in Vietnam opens up. That's still several turns down the road. America can't intervene until sometime in the 60s, and it's only 56 right now, so it'll be a minute before America can actually intervene. And the Algerian rebellion, France almost had the rebels pushed out of Algeria, forcing the rebels in Tunis to head over west to support them. So France is actually winning for once, or at least for now. That's about it for the turn, and what's going on. Everywhere else, people are just building up and upgrading stuff. So we'll come back with the next event and with the results of the second Arab-Israeli War and how the Hungarian revolt went. We'll see you then.